Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for coming. My name is Brittany Ames. I am the Director of Business Operations for the hyperscalers at VMware. It means that I manage not only our marketplace business, but also our other business with the hyperscalers as well. That includes some first party products. So we have VMware is one of those older software companies that has been around for a while. It started out with a lot of products on-prem, and we're moving to the cloud. So we face kind of this joint problem that we have to address in regards to how we are going to not only move our products to the cloud, but also how we are going to operationalize them so that they can be sold in the current market in a way that is beneficial for our customers. And that kind of brings us to marketplace and the importance of marketplace for this and for all software companies as we look forward at how things are moving in the industry. So I know you've probably heard a lot about this already, but why are customers purchasing via the marketplace? Well, it's that first one is the ease of procurement, the ability to just go on, search for the product that they need, and be able to purchase it. That is honestly a big part of why we are here today. It's why VMware has decided that it's important, as well as number two and number three. But the fact that that customers now want to be able to go on and find the product that they want, use pre-approved budget that's already set aside for this, so they don't have to talk to procurement for every little purchase, is a big part of why we are here. The second reason is those commitments, those hyperscaler commitments. We all have heard about this, the EDP, the MAC, OCI credits, all those different commitments that customers have with those hyperscalers that they have to hit. One of ways is buying software through the third party or through the CSP marketplaces. So that is a big reason also why VMware has decided to go into the marketplace. And then finally, expanding those cloud environments. A big part of why we are all here is the move to the cloud. And especially as we look to become a more multi-cloud world, the big thing has become not only just purchasing existing products that we already know about and that we already love, but also being able to find those new products that are going to run on the cloud and help us be more strategic in regards to our environments. So the big one today that I'm going to focus on is that first one, the ease of procurement. In a standard marketplace purchase flow, the customer can go onto the marketplace. They either have searched for the product because they know they need it, or they've already been talking with your sales teams, been at a booth, at a tech event, whatever it is that they were like, okay, yes, I want to try this product out. It seems like a good fit for my current needs. And so they then go to the marketplace because their procurement team tells them, well, by the way, we have this huge commitment to AWS or Azure or insert whichever marketplace. And we need to be able to go, and if we're going to buy this, it has to be done through this marketplace so that it counts towards that commitment for us. So that's then the next thing where the customer goes, great, is your product on, they go to VMware sellers and they say, is your product listed on this hyperscaler marketplace? And the seller should hopefully be able to say yes, because otherwise what happens is the customer goes, well, I can't buy it unless it is. So that's, a big reason why we're here. And that's kind of what the whole goal of this is in marketplace operations is how do we make this happen? How do we make that purchase happen so that the order can be fulfilled, the customer gets to decrement their commitment to the hyperscaler, as well as VMware getting business and a new way for their customers to purchase. It has actually led to an extreme uplift for VMware in regards to several of our large enterprise customers, where once we say we have the product listed on the marketplace and they could purchase for it via that, we've seen like an increase of around 30% in the overall deal size as a result of that. So even VMware benefits from those things like the commitments and the ability to have that software just easily available on the marketplace. I have now been doing marketplace operations for going on about 6 years now. And I've done it at both the startup level and now at a VMware level company. And I will just say a lot of the the requirements that allow VMware to go live on the marketplace are very similar to what other startups and other ISVs need. It's clear pricing and packaging of the product. If you don't have a clear way for the customer to easily consume the product and purchase it on the marketplace, they need to know that there is a very clear units that they're purchasing and how much they're purchasing for, so that they can calculate that. Because one of the things that procurement really doesn't like is when the bill is completely unreasonable or some like all over the place from each month to each month. And that's one of the big issues with SaaS right now that we're coming up with, is this whole idea that you have this ability to consume on demand, which is great. However, if procurement doesn't know exactly how much you are spending on that product each month, they start to get irritated because they need to be able to budget correctly. So one of the things you can do to help your customer in this route to market is making sure you have a very clear pricing and packaging, the ability to purchase not only at MSRP, but also in that private offer motion. Specifically, I've seen a lot of success for ISVs around the land and expand motion, where they start out with a SaaS product that's metered or however you want to determine it. And then after they see the customer using it for a little bit, they have their sales team go reach out to that customer and tell them like, hey, we can get you on a private offer where we can give you custom pricing, custom discounting, and custom terms on that purchase. And so even VMware's been seeing a lot of success in using that land and expand motion. Finally, you want to provide them with simple billing and invoicing. This has been another big part of what the marketplaces can provide, is they have the ability to have everything that's purchased on their marketplace on one invoice, so that customers can actually go look at that invoice and see exactly what's been purchased each month by their different teams. This is another big perk that a lot of companies are seeing, and one of the reasons why they like purchasing through the marketplaces. Finally, it's when we talk about that ease of procurement, it's that streamlined order booking and fulfillment. It's the ability to go click, buy something, and get access to it in a couple hours. We are a very, a world that moves very quickly now. And just like you say, when you need a pair of socks and you go on Amazon.com and you purchase those socks, you expect them to show up the next day if you've got a Prime membership. Well, same way, if you've got an EDP and you want to be able to go purchase on the AWS marketplace, you want to know that you can go buy whatever it is that you need at that time. If you're over and it's 2 a.m. or whatever it is, and you're working on something and you need access to that software right then and there, you want to be able to go click, buy it, and have access to it right away. And we're seeing more and more companies work towards creating listings that can do that. So one of the big ways, there's 4 key ways in which VMware tackles marketplaces. VMware itself has only been on the AWS marketplace for about 2 years now. We had some other pre-existing listings and such that were from companies that we acquired, but as far as VMware as a corporate entity, we just got live about 2 years ago. And so in that way, while we are an enterprise company, we still are very much acting as a startup right now in regards to this route to market. It's brand new. It's very different than a lot of other motions that VMware does for sales. And a big part of it is that they had to decide up front whether or not they wanted to do this. So our strategic leaders had to make a decision, because they had no resources at the time towards this route to market, and they had to make a decision to go do that. So they did about 2 years ago. They built out a marketplace operations team, knowing that taking their existing products and trying to list them on the marketplace was going to be a very big lift, especially because a lot of those products don't necessarily live in the cloud or weren't born in the cloud, and so it requires a different type of mechanism. Another big thing is that we then onboarded Tackle. With being as big of a company as VMware is, we decided it wasn't enough just to have the operations team. I have seen, again, this done both ways, with or without Tackle. There are pros and cons to both, but I will say that having Tackle as a thought partner was extremely helpful for me and my team, because we were doing this in a existing world that already had legacy systems in place, legacy thought process in place, and we needed a thought partner who could help us be creative in that type of environment. And so it became important to us to have Tackle, not only just for their operational capabilities, but also because they were a true thought partner in which they helped us think through, here are the current processes we have. How do we make this route to market work? Because I can't go and completely dismantle 30 years of all these different systems that are in place. And so basically, what we did is we worked with Tackle to create what the ideal process flow is. So, kind of going back to this purchase flow, we wanted it to look like this. We wanted it to be this simple for our customers, knowing that VMware is anything but simple. We have 7 instances of Salesforce. Like, it is definitely not an easy process. We have to go in and look at all these different systems and figure out where the gaps exist so that this flow right here can happen. And so that was a big thing that we did, and used Tackle to kind of act as a thought partner with us. They basically helped us think through that ideal flow and then work backwards. We did a gap analysis of the current gaps that existed in our systems that would prevent us from doing that process flow that we wanted. We also looked at what existing systems existed and how we had to adjust them to fit this route to market. What were the absolute needs that we had to have in order for this to work for our customers versus what are the nice to haves that we can work on with IT in the next 5 to 10 years. And so that was a big thing, is kind of taking that time and really working through it. The big thing that we found that was a primary need was setting up Salesforce and CPQ. It was very difficult at the beginning. We actually tried quoting using just our legacy routes to market that were already in there, and had just a lot of different issues because fields weren't aligned. It didn't allow us to collect all the information that was needed, like billing account numbers and then tenant numbers. And so it was creating a big problem. So we were able to get that prioritized and get Marketplace as a route to market set up in Salesforce and CPQ. Another big thing that I've learned in being at VMware versus a startup is we had to really think through tax concerns. Being a public company, we had to figure out how we were going to quote in global USD for all countries where that's not always an option. And we had to figure out how to address tax concerns, specifically international tax concerns. And so one of the things that we ended up doing was creating multiple seller accounts for each of the marketplaces. This allowed us to have different entities attached to different seller accounts so that we could make sure that the taxes were addressed properly. It also allowed our teams, from a revenue standpoint, be able to align the revenue to the right bank accounts where they should be going. So this was something that was definitely new for us, and that we had to kind of explore how to do that. It meant having multiple listings across multiple seller accounts as well. So the same product listed multiple times. We were able to then work with AWS to come up with a plan to hide those other listings so that they did not show up so it did not show up in the marketplace as multiple listings for the same product. AWS, that is a specific issue for them, separate from like Microsoft, where they actually allow you to select which country the listing should be shown in, so that you can be a little more selective on making sure that the product listing for that seller account shows up in the right country. Number 3 is enablement. You're going to hear about this a lot, but it's not just enablement with sellers, it's enablement with everybody. We still daily do enablement sessions with our back office teams, with revenue, with tax, with treasury, all of them, to basically make sure that they understand how this process is going to work and how they need to treat it. It's been very important for them to really understand it. Obviously, upfront, it's great. The sellers need to know about it as well. They need to know how to ask their customers about their commitments and where they have commitments. But we found that even more so on operational side of things, we really had to make sure our back office teams understood what this route to market was, why we were doing it, and why it was a priority for VMware. And then finally, you have to incentivize your sellers. If you treat these transactions differently and don't give them any sort of benefit to the sellers, never going to grow as a route to market. It's pretty basic. Your sellers need to know that there is a reason they want to go this way, and it needs to benefit them as much as their customers. So, we have treated these transactions net neutral, and that has benefited us in growing our marketplace business quite a bit. Our sellers are now actually willing to go through the marketplace versus other routes to market with their customers as a result of that. So that has been a big part of what we have looked at. Um, to date, VMware has had the largest marketplace transaction on the Microsoft Azure marketplace. And we just recently did that last quarter. And a big part of that is because of these items that we went through. And that we made sure we had alignment up at the top from our executives on how we were going to approach this and making sure that they understood the strategy and the reasoning for it. So a lot of it was a lot of evangelizing the marketplaces and why they're important. Okay. Any questions? There's a lot of different things that can be done in regards to how you set up marketplaces. Every company is slightly unique, every product slightly unique, and that changes how you're going to set it up. But the big thing is basically working through those items to make sure that you have the ability to truly actually put together a real route to market. And you can't just put put a sales ops person on it and be like, hey, figure it out. It's got to be something where the company is actually invested, they actually want to do it, because that's how you're going to see true success. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, I will be at the lounge. I'm happy to talk through any specific concerns that you have operationally or anything that you need in regards to advice and stuff. So thank you very much.